Hi, welcome back to the Witchy Web We Weave. I'm Alara,
Alex.
and today we're going to be talking about Imbolc.
That's a weird word.
Yeah, I never feel like I'm pronouncing it properly.
Same,
But
I'm like,
then again, I am not best on pronunciations.
it's one of those things.
I think other people also refer to this particular holiday as Candlemas or Candlemas.
Which,
Is based off the Catholic tradition. I want to say it. I don't know hardly anything about it, but I want to say it's about honoring the saints. But that's about as much understanding or knowledge that I have of Candlemas. That's it.
Yeah, and I didn't really, I'm going to be honest, I didn't get a lot of it myself either, because I was like, huh? Because I've seen it also on pagan calendars as Candlemas, which threw me off really bad. Because remember I was trying to make that wheel, and I'm going to make it at some point, my plush wheel.
Yeah.
And when I was looking for the words to use, like Letha versus...
Litha?
No, the other...
Oh, Lunasia.
Yeah.
Lunasa.
So I was looking at all these different versions of stuff, and some of them had Candlemas, and it has like a little candle as a symbol. And the other one is Imbolc, and it has... one of the things we'll talk about here in a second, the Bridget's cross as a symbol. And I was like, so are they different? Are they the same? I don't know. They're celebrated at the same time of year, which this year lands on February 2nd. And isn't that Groundhog Day here too? I think that's normally
I haven't
about
paid
where...
attention to Groundhog's Day since like 3rd grade.
But see, now I'm curious because groundhogs are one of the animals for this.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, yeah, but now I'm kind of wondering if Groundhog Day had any previous incarnation, kind of like everything else did.
I just assume it's one of those time capsules. It's one of those things that was done a lot in the past, and then it just kind of continued on into today as a hokey tradition.
Yeah, so February 2nd. So, woo. Yeah, looking for what's his name, Puxatawny, or that thing has the craziest name for a groundhog. But yeah, so what is Imbolc? It is, to put it bluntly, spring is happening. Spring is coming around the corner. It's, if you want to get romantical about it, it's the world's promise to humankind, or the higher promise. This is where it really comes from, though.
I know.
So that's what I'm saying. If you want to get poetic with it, it's from like your higher being's promise that winter sucked, especially in these old countries like Ireland, England. You know, all these wintry, crazy, you're gonna die in this weather, cold countries. That, you know what, you survived and spring will come again. That's literally what that's about. It's like the promise of spring renewed and life will happen once again. Yeah. So, that's what it's about, though. It's about, you know, spring's coming, you know, winter's ending, you know, your hardships are over, life renewed, cattle and all this stuff started having babies. So if you were a farmer, which a lot of people were back in the day because they had to, you know, your crops were going to start coming back to life. Your flock, sheep, cows, whatever you had were starting to pop out babies. It was the circle of life. It doesn't super translate very well nowadays, especially if you don't live somewhere cold, because you didn't have to deal with, you know, being snowed into your house. But, oh man, where was it? In Canada somewhere? Did you see that? Where they had, like, in one day, they had, like, 8 feet of snow or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, no thanks. No thanks. So they're probably really happy that spring's coming around the corner. But the overall word, I guess, for the holiday is rebirth.
Yeah, that is kind of the key word.
So, you know, this kind of reminds me, I was learning about New Year's resolutions and why they don't really work. And it's not that we're lazy or incapable. It's literally that winter is the hardest time of the year on your body. And for you to, like, start demanding things of it is, like, it doesn't make sense, like, in any sense of the word. Like, it's like, say you're trying to lose weight. Winter is not the time that your body naturally wants to lose weight. It wants to lose weight once it's hot, you're sweating, you're burning a lot more energy. Winter, you're conserving because you're layering up, you're cold, and you don't want to leave the house. So that's what's up. And that's why you eat a lot more in the winter typically, because you're eating a lot more hot stuff, you're in the house more often. That's when we bake a lot more stuff.
I've been
on
on
calories.
I've been on a baking spree.
So that's why a lot of times you're not self-sabotaging, your literal biology is self-sabotaging because we're not meant to do all this kind of craziness in winter. We're supposed to do it in the new year once it's spring and stuff has happened. So they were talking about in this article I was reading that you should push your New Year's resolutions to about like mid-March and start there. Because basically once spring really hits is when you're supposed to kind of be reawakened to life in a sense.
That's always when I get hit by the spring cleaning bug and I like air out the whole. It's when I used to air out all my apartments and open up the windows and let all the cool breeze in.
Mm-hmm. So just a little tidbit note to that. But yeah, spring cleaning. So some of the stuff that people do for Imbolc is spring cleaning. Airing out, which I feel like it's a little early maybe for spring cleaning because it's a little cold. Because there's also talking about like airing out your house and stuff, and I'm like, I can see that being good because you're getting a good breeze through the house probably, but I feel like it's
crisp here.
Yeah, because it's about 40 something degrees outside right now.
Yeah, it's still kind of cold here. We got hit with a cold current or a cold front, so it's been in the 40s. Every morning for the past 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm. So, but that was on their cleansing, which I feel like all holidays are really good for cleansings for the most part. Different types of cleansings maybe, but
yeah,
I feel like if you don't do them other times of the years, like setting aside like the holiday days to do them would probably be a good idea.
Specifically, the springtime holidays is when I get the urge to do like floor washes. And window washes and resetting, like taking down boundaries and re-putting them up.
So sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else? Oh, the one I laughed at a little bit was attending or making your own bonfire. I've never really grown up anywhere where bonfires were a really big thing. I know at one point it was cool to do bonfires on the on the beach near where I lived in California, but I always felt like that would be like dangerous because teenagers and fire.
I mean, I grew up a little bit more in the country, and what people normally we have brush piles from clearing fallen limbs that gather up over winter and things like that.
And then y'all burn it safely.
Yeah, and we put it all into one big brush pile, and we wait until it's not going to spread and catch everything on fire, and we burn it.
So yeah, I could see that being like...
I mean, I have had the incredibly strong urge to dance around a bonfire lately.
Well, who doesn't, right? But I mean, it's hard to find
but the fact that I get the urge to like roll myself in ash and then dance around the bonfire is a little odd for me.
You were talking about doing all kinds of dances
I
the
know,
other day, so
I know.
I was like, okay.
I know, I've been hit by the primal energies.
So we're kind of going a little backwards to what I thought we'd do, but that's okay. So we're talking about things to do for the holiday, and then we're gonna go into correlations. Yeah. The other thing I saw that was a good thing to do was make little dream pillows, tea bags, and what are they called? Sachets?
Yeah.
Sachets.
Sachet.
Yeah, I always want to say sachet, and I'm like, I know that's not right.
I
know
too.
it's not right. But then I hear
fine.
sachet, and I was like, I feel like it's like the sachet. Like when
yeah,
you're dancing,
me
and I was
too.
like, so when I bought a couple way back in the day on eBay from where I bought my pendulums. Actually, my first pendulum they had tea baths and all kinds of stuff that they used to make, and that store does not exist anymore, I don't think, unfortunately. But she, I don't even know who it was. They used to make what they called pillows because it was basically like a piece of like muslin or something that you would put tea in, kind of, and then they'd stuff it kind of like a little bag of potpourri or something.
Yeah.
And then it was so you could put it in your pillowcase, like under your pillow for like dreams or psychic awareness or whatever you were buying for, or good sleep or whatever it is you were buying. And I remember I bought like 1 or 2 of them. Who knows where they ended up? Whatever. But yeah, that's why I said dream pillows, because I don't know, I like the concept of right now. And then right now it's supposed to be a good time for that, because I guess it's like It's not a thinning of the veils, but I was reading that it's like a good moment for like clairvoyance still. Because I guess anytime where it's a holiday, there must be something happening somewhere, right? That kind of maybe not thins them, but maybe kind of just bridges them a little better.
I just feel like this is like the end of the time of year for introspection. So it's kind of like your last really good time for like deep delving before the dark half of the year ends.
Yeah, I can see that. Mm-hmm.
And it becomes the bright half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of the way that I don't really do the natural holidays like the wheel of the year. I mostly go off the feeling of whether it's the dark half or the light half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of work within the energy of whatever the season is bringing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is probably why like a lot of this stuff
for me,
has been listed.
For me, this particular time of year that we're talking about feels very much like twilight.
Mm-hmm.
Like the time, like pre-dawn.
Yeah.
It feels like pre-dawn to me. Like it has that energy to it. So for me, this is like when I wake up a little bit more energized. I actually feel like cleaning and like resetting energy and like just kind of airing out
all the stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Get rid of all the stagnation.
Mm-hmm. So along the dream bags and everything, it's a good time to make potpourris and incense blends. So I guess
I can
because
see that.
the whole clairvoyance and stuff, I guess like right now, and then you still have a lot of dry stuff if you do dry stuff, because a lot of fresh stuff is not available yet because it's still cold as butts. So yeah. The one thing on this list that I've personally done right now is apparently a good time to make candles.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! I've made candles. And then the last thing that I saw I follow a couple pages on Facebook, and I saw this on Pinterest and everywhere else. It is time to start your garden. Planting and planning.
Yeah, planning, going ahead and prepping the soil.
Mm-hmm. And on one of the lists, they were saying that if you do this kind of stuff to like consecrate your gardening tools.
Oh. Yeah. This time of year, I want to say like 2 years, no, maybe a year back. I spent this time of the year doing all my floor washes, but I also ended up blessing my doorways, blessing my windows, but I also started blessing and consecrating like my broom and cleaning items, and I prepped some cleaning, like witchy cleaning solutions that I use kind of throughout the year afterwards.
I feel it. The very, very last thing, and I've never made one, is to make Bridget's crosses. And I'm going to insert pictures all over the place for everything we've been talking about. This is probably one of the most famous symbols, I think. Like, I think I knew about this symbol before I knew anything else. Like, I think I've seen this symbol. I think they still use it in churches, don't they?
Well, St. Bridget.
Yeah. So, and I don't know enough about that to talk about either or, so I'm not delving into that part. Because we're gonna jump into deities, since we just brought that up. So Bridget / Saint Bridget this is definitely her time of year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might be wrong. I think this is one of those cases where people were so devoted at the time to Bridget that when the church came through, they literally couldn't tell them to stop it, so they literally canonized her.
Yeah, they made her a saint.
Yeah, because they couldn't make people stop, and they're like, well, how about if we just bring her in? Will y'all follow? Okay. That's basically what happened. I don't know the full story. Not the person to ask here. Sorry. I don't know. We've talked about deity stuff, and we just didn't want to step on toes.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't really know a lot about Bridget.
I mean, I'm Catholic, and I know, like, zilch. So
the most that I know about Bridget is energy-wise through My Lady. Because I feel like I can feel the tether of the connection.
Was Bridget the one with the fire?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I might know the story.
Oh.
Bridget's fire thing, like we weren't allowed to let it go out. If this is correct, and if it's not, I am so sorry. But if what I remember correctly is what did you call people that worked in the temples? They weren't nuns. They were priestesses. Were they all priestesses, or was it?
I don't know
her
the
her
specifics of the
followers
hierarchy
anyway. Her followers, people that attended her in the temple, were not allowed to have this flame go out, and basically they all turned into nuns to keep the flame going.
Yeah, I've heard a version of that.
So
yes.
I was like, so basically what I just said, but like more specifically, they were like, this Our Lady, and they're like, okay, so let's make her a saint, and now y'all are nuns. But basically, you know, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's kind of wild to think about. But I only have 2 other deities. There was a lot other ones that I didn't even know who they were, to be honest. I didn't know how to pronounce them, and I didn't want to like do anything bad. But if you're into the triple goddess, right now it's Era of the Maiden. It starts right now, and then it goes through
That makes sense.
to summer, I think, which is when the mother turns.
That absolutely makes sense.
And then the other one that makes total sense to me, and that's the one that I kind of recognized, was Osiris.
Oh yeah, I can get that.
Rebirth, hello. So I was like, I feel it. There were other ones, like I said, I did not even recognize the names, and I was like, I don't want to like just trash on these pronunciations, so don't have them. Animals, like we mentioned earlier, are anything that gives birth this time of year, so cows, sheep, and you could also take it with calves and lambs if you want to work with baby animals, because they're cuter and less frightening than big cows. Cows kill more people than sharks, man. Hibernating animals, which I couldn't think of anything besides a bear, if I'm gonna be honest. Do you know anything else that hibernates?
Not when you put me on the spot like that. But I think like badgers and stuff and such.
Okay, so like, you know, stuff.
Badgers, chipmunks, things like that.
Groundhogs. We just talked about Groundhog Day. So they're, you know, if you want to pick an animal that has a lot of energy that day, groundhogs would probably be a good option, because a lot of people are like, woo, Groundhog Day. And I read this on about 2 lists of the 15 I saw, so I don't know how often this is used, but dragons.
That was one that was really surprising.
Yeah, which I was like, because maybe they breathe fire and life? I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. If any of y'all know, comment down below. I would like to know, because I couldn't really find any specific stuff that told me why dragons and Imbolc. Because you can find, like, oh, dragons as a spirit animal or whatever, but that doesn't necessarily tell me why they picked it for a holiday. I don't know. Symbols. So, things to relate to the holiday, / if you do altars, put on your altars. Candles. All the candles. You can't burn candles, LED candles, though. So, be safe, whatever you're doing. Or, what I do with the candles that I buy sometimes is I'll just leave them out, but I don't burn them. So, you do you. Bonfires, again. You can't really put that on an altar, though.
No, but I've seen people for this time of year, they would put like a little cauldron.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then burn, have, it's like a little mini fire pit.
Mm-hmm. I could see that. The little twigs and incenses and stuff in there. Bridget's Cross, again, mentioned, and pictures will be available. Kind of wish I knew more about the cross, though, I'm going to be honest. I just know what it looks like. I don't know anything else. And what was I? Seeds, because, again, the garden, you're planting stuff. It's new life. Also, I guess, the hope of renewal. Because seeds don't necessarily grow. Like, sometimes you can plant stuff and it just dies or doesn't happen. For whatever reason.
Tell me about it. I'm losing a fighting battle with one of my vines. I've tried everything.
But that's already grown. It's not even a seed anymore.
I
You're
know,
just fighting it.
but it's one of those things that I've thrown up my hands in defeat and said, okay, if you're gonna die, I guess, but I'm gonna feel bad about it.
That is pretty bad. Yeah,
I've left it alone in hopes that me being away from it will encourage it to spring back.
That's sad. I'm sorry.
I know.
The other thing that I was seeing was snow. Now, if you live somewhere that it doesn't snow, maybe some ice cubes.
Snow cones.
I've never had a snow cone machine, so running out to like find somebody that makes snow cones in the middle of winter would be probably a little hard. But yes, if you do have a snow cone machine, you could, in theory, do
Well, I
that
mean,
too.
there's a snow cone place that,
They're open?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So yeah, I guess you'd go and be like, I need unflavored snow cone.
I don't know.
But no, I mean, that is a good idea if you have a place. But if you have snow, like, outside, it'd be easier and cheaper to do that. Kind of wish I was here when we got those little snow flurries.
It didn't stick around.
I know,
tried,
but like...
I tried to gather some for to make snow water.
Not enough.
No.
Oh, just be like running outside with a bowl, like, fall in, fall in! You could see me doing it. You know you could.
Yeah, I could. I really could.
That was pretty much all I got for altar stuff, but I feel like if you work with, like, the flowers and plants that are waking up right now, because, like you said, you have a tree right now that's prolific. So you could probably, if you did stuff like that, you could scoop some of those
It's springing blooms all over the place, and they're teeny tiny, long, tubey blooms.
Fun.
And they're everywhere.
So, for instance, if you have a tree or a bush or something that's flowering right now, you could definitely, find a couple on the floor or pluck a few or something and just put them on your altar because it's something that's growing already. It is already new life, so it would be a good visual new life symbol. What else? I guess things that are the right colors would also work, like candles of the right colors, ribbons, other cloths. Which,
going into the color correspondences, you're looking at a lot of white, gold, greens, I think. Silver. I want to say maybe some pinks.
Pinks, yellows. So we're looking at colors that are light but not pastel. Because I think pastels come in for Ostara. So we're kind of moving into those Eastery colors, but not quite. So I think we're looking at... I can't remember the name of the green. So maybe more like a faded kind of minty green versus like a pastel-y green. Like if you're looking at shade range. Because it was very specific that it said light colors, but not pastels and not neons or brights.
Yeah.
So like on a pink, instead of like a pastel-y pink, I would be looking more at like a light rose pink versus like a pastel pink.
So something that's a little bit brighter.
A little bit brighter. Or maybe like when you mix stuff like heavily with white, and it's more white than pastel, those shades would probably work too. I follow this chick on YouTube who does a lot of painting, and she likes like light colors, so she'll like put like a dollop of one color and like drown it in white paint. And then mix it, and then you get this very light, almost pastel, but it's more white than pastel. So that's why I'm thinking of those colors in my head, so,
Huh.
Yeah. And then so those colors would also work on your altars, so if you do altar cloths, candles of those colors would work. And having white as a color makes things a lot easier, I'm gonna be honest. Because, yeah, you could always use white interchangeably. We've talked about that before. But having white be a specific color for a holiday, I feel like gives it that much more of a boost. Like, this is the color to use right now. So if you have white candles, if you have white cloth, if you have white stuff, white stones would probably be good right now. Quartzes and stuff, which we're going to get into in a second.
Yeah, especially since quartz is energy generator.
So I just feel like white is already something people can find the easiest, I feel. So, like, having it be a color specifically for a specific holiday is just, like, bonus points. Yeah. So, stones, since we're going into that. Now, this is where I thought was kind of weird, because the colors and everything else were so light, but the stones are very dark in color.
Yeah, I want to say the lightest stone that I found associated with Imbolc is moonstone.
Which those can even range from all kinds of others, but probably just regular moonstone, or did it specify?
Not just moonstone.
Okay. So yeah, so kind of whitish, creamy, kind of
Yeah.
lightish gray range. And then didn't we say something else like not calcite, but
Yeah, calcite.
okay, so calcite can range into like lighter, brighter colors.
Yeah.
I really like honey calcite. I thought it was pretty.
Focus.
Sorry. But the other stones are like amethyst, which that can be light, but I feel like typically the kind of amethyst you own or you want to own are like deep purples, or like sometimes amethyst is so purple that it looks black, and I know black amethyst is like a highlight in like a lot of people I know's collections are like, I have black amethyst, and I'm like, well, aren't you fancy?
He's pretty.
It's gorgeous, but I'm just saying, like, you know, so I'm just saying, like, amethyst, I can see, like, yeah, it's purple, it's, like, light, but, like, it can range to very dark still. So I feel like, kind of like you were saying, Twilight, it's still the darker half of the year, and it's creeping into light.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see kind of, like, because amethyst at the
Yeah.
bottom can be, like, that white color, and then it creeps into the dark. So I can see it, I guess. Bloodstone, I felt was...
That one was interesting.
You work with Bloodstone more than I do. Do you have any insight onto that one?
Bloodstone I definitely associate as a dark half of the year type stone. But I do I understand a little bit on what they're getting at trying to pull it into like Imbolc. Just because it can go from that very dark, very saturated to a very light. And almost just kind of very lightly speckled. And the idea of bloodstone as, think of it like new blood.
Okay, I can see that.
Like new blooding. Yeah.
Sorry.
But new blood. So I can see it a little bit.
And then garnet is something else you work with too a lot. Definitely more than I do. I think I have maybe like 2 pieces of it.
Yeah, especially considering I can sort of see garnet just because it's all about like organizing chaos.
Okay.
Like putting your energy in order, like focusing it and getting it all aligned and in order, and like
That's why it's good for root stuff, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Kind of like new beginnings, like bringing order to chaos. I can see that. Okay.
And that also may be a reason why bloodstone is mentioned, is because it's really good not only for cleansing lower chakras, but it's also good for realigning energy.
Okay, so both of them kind of do that a little bit.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that may be why those are on that list. And then amethyst would pull into the more clairvoyance stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then amethyst is the stone for February.
Yeah,
So.
and it's a higher, it's supposed to be like higher working and higher communication type stuff. So I can see that kind of going along with clairvoyance and the darker half lightning type energy that goes with this time of year.
I just remember one of my cousins is a February baby, and I remember like growing up, she was so anti things that were perceived as girly that she hated that her birthstone was amethyst.
Really?
She's like, it's purple! Because she was like, pink and purple were like the devil. And she was like, ew, I like blue! Why wasn't my stone a sapphire? Or anything else but purple? Oh! I don't know how she feels about it now. I'm gonna be honest, that'd be a good question to ask her actually. I'm kind of curious now. But yeah, she got her graduation ring, and I think she like didn't get it in amethyst. Because she was so anti, she was like, why is my stone purple? And I was like, okay. I always liked having ruby as my stone, even when I realized it was more pink than red. But, ruby is also a stone for this time of year. I don't really know. Ironically, ruby is my stone, but I don't know a whole lot about it.
It's really good for mental balance, improving circulation.
Okay, mental balance I can see kind of going with the whole
It's also supposed to be
flow.
a stone of like enthusiasm and like connecting with your creative potential and things like that.
Okay, I can see that. So like, so you've got like the balance of the other stuff, and then this is kind of adding the mental to it and the creativity. With
Yeah,
new beginnings again.
starting to put the passion back into things.
Okay.
Which may also be why carnelian is listed. I thought that was a little weird.
Okay, I can see that too. Kind of putting a little more sun into there.
Yeah. Well, that and carnelian can be like fertility based. So that also may be why that's put in.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that too. Turquoise. I don't like this is really yeah, she
Power
does.
Rainbow pamphlet over here.
I know I've had turquoise in the past. I don't know if I own any currently though. I have my necklace. That's right, but I haven't worn it in a minute.
Supposed to bring wisdom, wholeness, and truth. Reminds us that all of life's experiences and mistakes are valid.
Okay. Again, I can see why that's a thing. And the last one I got was onyx, which it's
I didn't know about the onyx.
yeah, that's legit like black. So
It's very protective. You don't need to do this for everyone. We're supposed to be just giving lists, not explaining things. Centering and grounding, relieving stress and grief, strengthening your self-control. Like
I can see that.
I don't know. That's one of the ones I'm a little bit more about.
Yeah, that kind of wraps up the stones for right now, and our herbs, angelica, which I feel has been used for other holidays.
So is bay and basil.
Mm-hmm. Blackberry, I thought was...
Blackberry is one of the... I want to say it is a berry bush that produces later in winter. Like,
Okay.
it's a fruit-producing...
Yeah.
It's a winter-producing berry, I think.
We
Don't quote me.
Right.
I'm going off of very old childhood memories. I could be incredibly wrong.
Chamomile, which...
It's dark water energy.
Yeah.
But it's healing water.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I remembered I could see it being a thing. I couldn't remember why, though.
Yeah.
Violets, which... The flowers in the list are things that are hardy in the snow.
Well, all
Kind
of the
of.
flowers associated with Imbolc, think about the first blooming flowers that you see right after winter. So flowers that sometimes bloom in the snow, like crocus. Crocus is on here.
Yeah.
And it's one that it has a reputation for being one of the first flowers to pop up through the snow right at the end of winter when spring is supposed to be coming.
And crocuses were very heavily associated with Imbolc specifically.
Yeah.
Which they mentioned it all over the place, and I was like, I know what that is, but I didn't know what it was, so I actually had to look up a picture.
Yeah, which violets and daisies and
Daffodils.
Are also on the list, and that makes sense to me.
then,
Especially daffodils. I've got daffodils.
Growing up in there.
Yeah, down the road, and then dandelions. I associate dandelions with this time of year because my entire backyard for a hot second was nothing but dandelion and like what's it called? It's a backyard weed. It is. It's a weed. It's invasive, but it's everywhere right now. And I actually took a picture of it because I wanted to know the name of this, whatever it is. But I associate dandelions with this time of year because that's when they start popping up right after winter is over. And then the stuff in my backyard is henbite, dead nettle.
Oh.
Dead nettle. It's this stuff.
Oh.
The stuff that's everywhere in our backyard.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's known as dead nettle or henbit or henbite. But they're not really flowers, but I associate them with this time of year because this is when they start becoming prolific again.
And then the last thing that I didn't see it on a lot of lists, ironically, but I saw it in a lot of the pictures people used for Imbolc. I was like, that's weird. Snowdrop, which for sure...
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny, like, they'd use, like, a picture of Snowdrop and then put the list, but Snowdrop itself wasn't on the list, and I'm like... But yeah, I really like snowdrops. I actually wanted to grow snowdrops and lily of the valley that one year.
Yeah.
I never got the seeds of the plant for snowdrops, and lily of the valley just did not happen for me.
He's fine.
Tears.
That's mostly it for the flowers and herbs and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think mostly done, unless you had any last moments to say.
Not really. I just think this entire holiday is all about rebirth, renewal, lighting of energy. So
I can see it.
transitioning from the dark half to the light half of the year. He's mostly it.
Mm-hmm. I remember. So, that should be it.
All right.
We'll catch you on the next time, y'all.
All right. Thanks for watching. Many blessings.